what you say, Sil? Should we do the thing now? The teams I push are the same ones you bring down. The ponies I praise you wouldn't even sing about. But watch somebody come back from the brink now. Hey, what you say, Sil? Should we do the thing now? Some squads switch up and that's the thing now. You can be anything now, but consistent, I guess that's the only mission for a king now. And who's a king? Who's just a jester? Who reminds me of Devin Hester? Who's playing like they left her, hitting hoes for pleasure, while y'all search yours for treasure to no measure. I find mine with less effort and no sweat work. The best perk is that I'm always right. My opinion shouldn't cause a fight, but they might out at night cause your QB bites. So now it's on sight, I'm just looking down sights, waiting for a slip up. Dog, your shoelaces make you trip up, so you should find a zip up and pull it to where your fucking list was. Check yourself, this ain't get up, it's been up since the last countdown. Working on the fucking craft that they always count out. This is down now, but not out, so what you talking about? Don't get it twisted, I'm pulling switches like a pilot. I'm not flying, I'm just driving. I'm smiling cause life is gravy, stuff with struggles, but that's what fucking made me. Haters with turkeys, eating wormies, they ain't worthy, they do me dirty. But I'm not Brock Purdy, more like Tom Shirley. I know you heard me, but did you hear me? I said I know you heard me, but did you hear me? My dumb ass. Am I good? Hey, what you say, sir? Should we do the thing now? The teams I push are the same ones you bring down. The ponies I praise you wouldn't even sing about. But watch somebody come back from the brink now. Hey, what you say, sir? Should we do the thing now? So swatch this up and that's the thing now. You can be anything now, but consistent, I guess that's the only mission for a king now. Hey, and who's the king? Who's the king? Who's the king? Put your ring down. Man, I don't care what you think about. Get out my chat, that's the thing about. We back. It's Tuesday. You know what that means. It's Power Rankings time. I had some of the most fun ever making this list today. And we got an extra list that we're debuting today. We had a new show yesterday. Man, we're on fire right now at Still Nation Sports Network. And someone who's gonna be on fire after he debuts his list. Sil, how you doing today, bro? After people see that bottom five, they're gonna be like, yo, what the fuck, man?
Hey, man, it's football season. We in full swing, man. Going into week 11, it's time to separate the pretenders, man. Like, that's what this list is about.
Yes. We said that going into week 7. We're like, this is when we're gonna see where the contenders or the pretenders are. And that's where we're at right now. We found out the trial period is over. We know who you are. You can't hide behind whatever you were hiding behind before. And the time is now to really push forward for the playoffs. Because let's start off the show with this. You sent this to me right before we started. And it's actually now, since 10 weeks have passed, and now we're down to like single digit numbers for the amount of weeks left in the NFL season. We can really start to see where the teams are going to be. So if the playoffs were to start today, if the season ended last week or this past weekend, this is where everyone would sit.
No.
So
this is interesting.
very interesting, bro. And of course, I'm looking down there at the 8th seed. I'm like, ah, man, my Buccos just missed the wild card, which is kind of crazy. I didn't think they were even in the wild card hunt, but I guess they are. But you could see their Vikings, I would say more deservedly so, would get that wild card spot at this spot.
Yeah, yeah. And so, like you said, this is a good time of the year because, you know, you could literally look at playoff projections every week, but it's like so much time in the season. But now, you know, going into week 11, it's kind of, you know, it's shaping up. It's shaping up. The best teams are kind of rising to the top. But that fight for that 7th seed, you know, since they introduced 7 seeds into the NFL,
Yeah,
you know, Super Wild Card Weekend, I think it's been my favorite weekend of just football, man. Like just,
facts.
you know, just crazy, you know, wild card games. So I guess the brief standout to me, you mentioned your 8 seed Bucks.
Yeah,
They were in a fight, also in a fight for their division. So they're at a good spot right now, you know, to fight.
yeah.
I guess on the NFC end, Vikings is the story to me. I just think it's going to be really interesting to see if they hold off. Because I think they can hold off whoever doesn't win the NFC South. I think the Vikings can kind of hold, whether it's the Saints or the Bucks that's behind them.
As
I
far
think
as
they can hold them off.
wild card goes, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I said, like, deservedly so. I think the Vikings would be ahead of the Buccaneers in this. But it's interesting when someone like me, I'm kind of been hyper focused on the NFC South and on the NFC in general. When you compare it like a mirror comparison, or A to B, I guess, on the other side of the AFC, I didn't like generally consider this, but I guess like the Bengals right now are the Bucks of the AFC, which is funny to like think about, right? Like that's where they are. That's where they are right now. And if you look at that, the Bills are the Falcons of the AFC too. Apparently, that's how you're playing. That's how you're playing, and that's how like it's shaping up. So it's cool to look at this. A very interesting thing to point out on this. Browns and Texans in the playoffs, bro. I mean, Browns, like, they look like it, but it's just, you never see that. You don't usually see that.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the AFC North is just nuts, right? Because like if the Bengals would have won, you know, it would have been all their division in the playoffs. It's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy, but that shows how good, you know, that shows how good that division is. But you know, though I look at the NFC, like I think all those teams that's there, the top 7, is going to be there again, unless the Bucks win the NFC South or not. That's the only change I see. On the AFC, man, this is wide open, bro. Like this, a lot can change in the AFC, you know, in about 2 weeks. A lot can change in about 2 weeks. And so I really think Texans, I'm really not expecting them to like stay stay right there. I'm really not. But the Bengals right there, the scrappy Colts right there. Hey, the Bills, I know we're all down the Bills right now, but they still could make a run. I mean, the AFC, it's funny to see it so wide open, to be quite honest.
I always do this. It really is to see it wide open and see, like you said, from right now till week 8, week 18, I should say, that's the last week in the NFL regular season. Some of these teams might not even be like on here, right? Well, obviously you won't, in the hunt won't matter at that point, but they might not even be close. I'm surprised to see the Packers like in the hunt, 11 seed. But hey, it's cool. It gives your team hope for the season. Like you're saying there's a chance. And everything changes on a week-to-week basis to begin with. I mean, before week 9, the Bucks were 2 games back. Now going to week 10, the Bucks are, week 10? Is it week 10? Going into week 10, we got the Bucks 11. Okay, after week 10. Damn, there's so many weeks in the NFL, bro. Too many shows, too many graphics. But yeah, week 11. I messed up the thumbnail, damn. But we got all these teams like making the shift, and the Bucks jump up a game and a half in 1 week, which I didn't think it was possible. But yeah, man, very cool to see this. And are you surprised? The number 1 seeds being KC and the
Eagles. Like I said, the cream is at the top, right? Real quick on with the 11th seed, because I got this from the NFL site. 11 seed, you
Don't
really
matter.
not in the race. I
Yeah.
don't even know why they have 11
It don't
because
really matter.
the Packers are literally a half a game in front of my Bears.
Yeah.
So we're not in the running for the playoffs. So I know for damn sure they not in the running for the playoffs. So we should keep that real.
That's
In the
what I
future,
said.
we'll stop at 10 seed. Just let everybody know.
I'll crop it out next time. I'll crop it out.
You good. But I was just like,
That's
I was like,
hilarious.
no, I was like, no, they're, and I say that for a reason too. You'll see a list coming up. Like, no,
Yes.
the Packers are not in the running.
That's
I
why I
promise
said.
you.
That's why I said I was surprised to see that. I was surprised to see them even on this list, and the name and the word playoff, and them being on the same picture right now.
Yeah,
Like,
but
no
as
chance.
far as the top,
Yeah.
like you said, yeah, the Eagles. I mean, they've been number one on my power rankings, for the last few weeks. So it's probably not going to change this week, right? I think the Eagles are the top NFC team for now. Now, as far as the Chiefs, I am surprised no one ran up and caught them. I mean, the Ravens kind of let me down. The Browns may be a surprise. I knew the Jags wasn't going to do nothing. No one's worried about the Jags, but
Yeah.
the Dolphins took a lot of Dolphins took a lot of L's from good teams. So the Chiefs are just not having their best year, but they're still the best team in the AFC.
Yeah, it is what it is, right? Like when you have the pedigree that they have had for the past couple, I mean, if they win one more, we got to consider them a dynasty. I will say though, somebody recently said on a major sports show that the Kansas City Chiefs already went back to back, and I was like, because they didn't. They didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, did you forget about a whole Super Bowl? What the fuck?
I mean, it's like I don't know. Is it fair? Like, okay, they've been in 3 Super Bowls, like what, in 5 years, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
they lost
just
one.
in my opinion. I mean, because I'd use a basketball analogy. Now, I do think you do gotta get 3 titles like within like under 8 years. I think to be. I look like the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs in the NBA, they never won back to back, but it was in contention every year.
Right.
And then every other year they probably got back and won, then they would miss. So just that's how I see the Chiefs will be. I didn't see them winning last year, but I really don't see them winning it this year without enough offensive help. But I think the window obviously is still open for the next like 5 years for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you call Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl on the young side of his career. I mean, he has all of the pedigree, all of the ability to kind of have a Tom Brady like run. It's just like it's up to him, right? It's up to the people around him to continue to put him in situations to win. And yeah, the last dynasty we saw was the 2010s Patriots, and they won. I mean, same thing as like the Spurs. Some people might not even consider that a dynasty, but that's a dynasty. They won.
That's definitely a dynasty.
Yeah, they won 3 Super Bowls. They went to 5, like within 10 years. So yeah, man, it's very cool to see kind of like as the cream rises to the top. What you gonna say?
The Miami Heat was not a dynasty.
Nah. Just gotta put that out there.
They got back to back. That was cool, and then that's where it stopped.
They repeated. Yeah, right. They repeated. That's cool.
They had a nice run.
2 years ain't a dynasty play. Sorry, man. Sorry, but
need 3.
Need 3 of those. But before we get into the power rankings, I want to go over like our side list that we have first. We'll save the power rankings for last. And let's start. I didn't see
hold on. He went back to 06. So
bro, come on.
LeBron didn't get his first one until like 2012.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even a part of that. But it's like if you want to like stretch all of it, that was a whole different team, bro.
Come on, bro. That was Shaq. Come on, dog.
That was a whole different squad. Like you had Shaq in 06. Shaq and Alonzo Mourning, Gary Payton. Anyway.
Didn't Shaq retire between those 2 championships too?
That's what I'm saying. Well, let's see. I think he ended up with the Celtics probably a year after that.
He was the Shaq for a while, and then
he was
the Shaq Rock.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm still working on my NBA shows. We'll see when we get closer to the mid-season. I'll probably launch some of that. But Football. We're on football right now. See,
Yeah.
the Mr. Transactions derailed us.
We like the analogies. We like the analogies. He's trying to. Someone's got to reach for the team. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Carlos.
Shout out to Carlos. And I wanted to debut my list real quick before we get to yours. And it's someone said they're on the Mount. Somebody was on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks, and I was like,
Okay.
You know what? There's only 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore. All right, there's not 5, and it's like the top 3, and then the one who should be, who's very in contention with that. And this is hard to do mid-season because obviously the Mount Rushmore is a lot easier, right? You pick the last 4 teams in the playoffs. This right now, I go over the records of the team, how they look week to week also, and then where they are in season stats. Necron, if you're still here, what's good, by the way, homie? He's gonna like that I have Dak Prescott here on Mount Rushmore. Right now, he's leading a couple of things, and he's on the list for QB rating and TDs, and he's actually not throwing a lot of interceptions this year. The one who's leading in interceptions is Josh Allen, which I could not put him on this list. He's leading in a lot of other categories too. He's number 1 for touchdowns this year, Josh Allen, but I couldn't put him on this list just because of how bad they're playing. They're not even in playoff contention right now. So like I couldn't do it. But Dak Prescott leading completion percentage as a passing quarterback. The main job that you have is to get from point A to point B. Doesn't matter how it gets there. It doesn't matter if it's a perfect pass or it's a duck. And I'm not saying he throws ducks. I'm just saying it doesn't matter, right? And I got to fix this layout real quick, but it doesn't matter. And either way, he's doing his job. He's getting the ball to the receivers, and he's doing it at the most efficient amount. So got to put him up there. Lamar Jackson, he was MVP of the league, but not anymore. After that bad loss, after losing against the Browns and having Deshaun Watson play better than you, but he's still second in completion, and he's in like the top 5 and the top 10 on every single stat that you can have as a quarterback. And honorable mention I put in there, where he has the longest completion this year. It was 80 yards. Whether that be, a 20-yard pass and then a 60-yard run, whatever. Still, stat line looks nice. 80-yard pass. And Necron says, Dak is good. Won't be great until he gets that Super Bowl. That's how I feel too, man. That's how I feel
That's
too.
how it goes.
That's how I feel too. And Israel likes this list too. Yeah. I got Tua on there. He's not leading in anything, but he's like top 3, top 5 in almost every single category. And he's playing night and day compared to what we saw last year. Now, probably that was due to injury. We didn't get to see him a lot last year, and he's just staying on the field. The best ability is availability, right? And he hasn't missed a game. 3rd in yards, 4th in completion percentage, 2nd in touchdowns, as I said. So, Tua, you've made my Mount Passmore for week 10. And Brock Purdy, the purdiest looking quarterback stats-wise. He may not have gotten his team wins in that little slump that they had, but he didn't have his guys. And then you could see with his guys back how much different that team looks. I mean, like a completely different team. It was like they went back in time to week 5 and transported that team to the future to week 10 and played. And he's leading the QBRs, leading QB rating. He's also up there for completion percentage too. I forget what he was, but Brock Purdy, if you're leading QBR and QB rating and you have a QB rating over 100, I gotta give you a mention, obviously. And then hopefully Money Train James will respect the fact that I got Jared Goff as an honorable mention. He is kind of the same pace that Tua was, but Tua was just higher than him. He's kind of like 5th in yards, 6th in completion percentage, 5th in touchdowns. Jared Goff is. So like he's up there, but he's not leading. But hey, still playing good enough to be on my honorable mentions, and he's playing very well this season. Besides that one really bad game that he had versus the Ravens, which we're writing off right now, he's played really well this season. And then obviously Patrick Mahomes, he's not leading in anything. I don't believe either, if I can check my list, but
I don't think he is.
He's up there. But I will say he's also up there in interceptions this year too. And he's down on QBR, so
that has to count against him. Yeah, I mean, compared to other quarterbacks, again, Mahomes is still great. It's just stats this year. I agree. I can't put Pat top 4. No.
Yeah, it's just I couldn't. I mean, if I maybe made a top 10 list, he'd obviously be on there. But this ain't. This is the Mount Passmore of Week 10, and it could change, right? Obviously, if someone has a great game, or like I see someone jump in the standings for the season, they'll be up there. And I wanted to mention, okay, leading in touchdowns is Josh Allen, then Tua, third right now after not playing for 2 games. Still, Kirk Cousins is third in touchdowns. This season.
I'm telling you, Captain Kirk, that would have been MVP for him this year. He was on a crazy pace before he blew that Achilles, man. That's crazy.
And then someone who kept popping up on my list too, but just because of their record, I couldn't put him up there. Russell Wilson. He's 4th in touchdowns this season, and he's up there in completion percentage too. So I had to give him a nice little mention as I'm looking at my thing. But yeah, that's my Mount Passmore for Week 10. And I as I debuted this, I told Syl, I'm like, I also want to give because this is where this came from. Somebody said, and again, this is no disrespect. I'm just looking at everything as a whole and what I know from being an NFL fan and knowing NFL history. Somebody said that Aaron Rodgers was on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks for all time. And I had to go, no. He might be for modern era, but all time. Did you forget about the 90s? Did you forget about the 70s and the 80s? Like, there's some quarterbacks that you disrespect by saying Aaron Rodgers deserves to be on the Mount Passmore of all time. And I'm going to take a look at the Bills should go after Josh McDaniels for OC. That'd be interesting. What's good, Bacon Biz, by the way? And this is all time. Hopefully this gets some people up in a roar, but hopefully also people can agree with my logic. And this is all time Mount Passmore. Obviously the GOAT on there, right? You got to have the GOAT. If we're mentioning any QB list, if you don't mention Tom Brady, I'm just like, what are you doing? Are you living under a rock? 7 Super Bowls. That's 3 more than second place. You have to have a whole career to catch up to Tom Brady from 4 Super Bowls. And he played with 2 different teams. Everybody else on this list, besides Peyton Manning, played for 1 team. It was back in the days before salary cap and all that stuff. So you could kind of have those teams, which makes the Tom Brady 7 Super Bowls even more impressive because of what the day and age that he was able to do it in. So obviously you got that. Joe Montana, which if you don't mention, Joe Montana on Mount Rushmore, what are you doing? And then this is the person who gets left behind all the time. Terry Bradshaw, dude. You think he's on Fox, like causing up a storm and acting all funny just for like shits and gigs? No, he got that job because he's got 4 Super Bowl wins. Swan, and I forget the other guy, the wide receivers who were so famous from the Steelers. Like Terry Bradshaw was the quarterback then, and he was slinging it. He's number 12. He was TB12 before TB12 was TB12. He's got 4 Super Bowls as well. Then we got Troy Aikman, 3 Super Bowls with 1 team with the Cowboys in the 90s there. Probably could have had more if Jimmy Johnson stayed around. But yeah, cool Joe. I got to put him on there. And I would say honorable mentions. Everybody has multiple Super Bowls besides just a couple. And then honorable mentions, you're down to just 2. John Elway, 2 with the Broncos, and then Peyton Manning, 2 with the Colts and the Broncos. And I could have put the Manning bros down here because Eli, I don't think he was as smart, though, and like as effective as Peyton Manning was, as much of a game changer. So that's why I put them as honorable mentions. They have 2. Another thing to list, Pat Mahomes also has 2 Super Bowls. So on the younger side of his career, he's got all the chances to maybe, make the top QB of all time. But Patty Mahomes is above Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers only has 1. If we're talking greatest regular season quarterback of all time, that's a whole different story.
I think it depends on like how you weight it, right? Like obviously Super Bowls is the ultimate prize, right? And I get it. But also too, you do gotta have some stats too. And that's why I only object with Terry Bradshaw. Like I would have Peyton Manning over Terry Bradshaw. I would have Peyton over Troy Aikman as well too, as far as numbers plus the Super Bowls. And you know, it's an equation you can kind of shake up. And I just think Peyton would be in that top four. Elway, you raise a good point that Eli can really fight with Elway as far as all time greatness right
Yeah.
there. I mean, it's like Bradshaw got the rings, and I get it. It's just his numbers wise, I don't think he really stands up to Peyton. Probably not even Eli, John
Well,
Elway. But the rings, you know, obviously, if the rings are the weighting factor, then yeah, you can't argue against the
and
rings.
it's that's the ultimate thing because like that's what you're going for, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously if you're weighting stats against it, that's where it gets the numbers get conflated, and that's why I use the Super Bowls because when you're looking at the NFL back when Terry Bradshaw was playing, I mean, they're really just handing the ball off and not they're not passing it that much. That was kind of I mean Joe
Different
Montana,
style of game.
different style, it was just a whole different, and he was taking mad hits, like just taking licks and I don't know if that's that's just not what he did, but he made the throws that he had to make when he had to make them. There wouldn't be two famous wide receivers from the Steelers of the same era, Lynn Swan and the other guy, I forget his name, but they wouldn't be recognizable if it wasn't for Terry Bradshaw throwing them deep balls wide open. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I had that.
Results matter, like obviously, like results matter, and also too, like with Peyton, what counts against him, he didn't get to enough Super Bowls, right? But you also got to think of the eras he kept running into Tom Brady, which I find really ironic. Towards the end of Peyton's career, Brady kept banging his head against the Broncos. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of funny how that kind of flipped, towards the end of his career. So it's like that plays a factor, but it's a story behind these guys, right? Like Aikman, he came up after Montana, kind of,
right.
He was really going through the Steve Young era at that time. But Steve Young, he's nowhere near these numbers. You know what I mean? So it's just it's a very interesting conversation when you talk about greatest. But as far as what sparked this, you talk about Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I probably came and put. I mean, if I sit down and really think about it, maybe during the off season, it would be cool if we do like a
top 10,
more historical thing,
like
and like top 10 players or top 5 at positions, crazy stuff like that. Because if I really sit down and look at the career of Aaron Rodgers, he probably is not in my top 10 as far as quarterbacks.
Just lost too many times, and that's that to kind of explain why I didn't put Peyton Manning on there and put Terry over it is because the amount of Super Bowls won, but Peyton lost the Super Bowl that they should not have lost against the Saints in my eyes. So that's kind of why I had to back them down.
It's your list. It's your list. But, I'm just here.
I put him on there because I will say if we're doing like modern era, obviously Peyton makes the list. He is. I grew up watching him. He is one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch outside of Tom Brady.
Yeah. I mean, overall, like I said, it's not a bad list at all because I don't put Peyton. I'm talking about overall career, Super Bowls. I don't put him over Montana. I mean, we already know Brady outmatched him, career to career, as well. So, but Peyton will be in my top 4 though, just because of he changed the game and he was in contention every year. I know he didn't win, but it's just a story behind it. I would, this offseason, I'm really going to think hard about this historical list. That's going to be fun.
It's going to be a good thing to do in the offseason.
Your current one, I got a bone to pick with your current list.
All right,
not really a bone to pick, but now these are all like literally all these quarterbacks. I think if I had 6 names, I think I would have all 6 of these quarterbacks. So I agree with you. It's just a grouping of them. I do take a little issue down. If I want to put someone number 1 right now. I know I've been hard on quarterback. We've both been hard on quarterbacks this year.
Gotta be, dude.
Now we're gonna talk about my MVP rankings in a moment. There, I was kind of dissing most quarterbacks, but Tua, I think, is still having the best year. I really do feel like that as far as a quarterback. So
yes,
if I'm gonna do like top 1, I would have Tua at 1. I think as far as because he has more yardage than all of them, and then QBR is comparable. To all of them as well. I think he's over 105. QBR. So I would take Tua. I'm talking about his performance this year. I'm not talking about lifetime and all. People like
Right.
Mahomes is the greatest. Like, just calm down. This year, this is Mahomes' worst year as a QBR. Worst year. So he submitted at number 6. Like, I can't put him in the top 4 this season. Number 2 would be Dak.
He is actually second in QBR. It's his worst year, but he's still second behind Brock.
That's funny, right? That's funny. Right? But Dak Prescott will be number 2 for me. I think this is shaping up to be his best season because he plays the Giants every week. No, but no, I think Dak Prescott's having a great year. Again, no one has the yardage that Tua has, so that's why I have Tua so high. Yep. But again, comparable QBR and again, interceptions under control. Dak is having a great year. Brock Purdy, in most cases, his yardage isn't there. I mean, it's up there, but it isn't there with the other guys. But he is in the top 4. If you take the whole formula, QBR, not a lot of interceptions, and producing, Purdy's up there. He'll be number 3 for me if I'm going to do one. And then 4, I would not have Lamar Jackson. I will have Jared Goff. Jared Goff is having his career year. His QBR, I'm thinking, is not quite 100 QBR, but Lamar Jackson's QBR is, I think, less than that. Interceptions are low for
8 and 9.
Okay.
Jared Goff is 99.1 and Lamar is 98.1.
Okay, so he's slightly ahead of him. Interceptions under control for Goff, and then Goff's yards is actually comparable, I think, to Tua's. Goff is sneakily. He's not going to get MVP votes, but he could have a case. He's better than Brock Purdy to me. Jared Goff, right?
He is yardage wise.
As far as you know what I'm saying, just overall. So, but that would be my 4 though. Tua, Dak, Brock, Jared Goff. 5th will be Lamar because you do got to think of rushing yards as well too.
Yes.
Lamar's adding. I think he has about 500 rushing yards so far this year.
Yes.
So that's a fact. It's a factor. But your QBR got to be up there for me to elevate you. And then Mahomes is where he should be, number 6.
He is. He's actually, and he's 6th in yardage this season. Josh Allen, like as I said, is on a lot of it. He's 4th in yardage, and he's leading touchdowns, but he just got too many interceptions, and they're losing this season. I mean, if you look at the touchdowns to interceptions, Josh Allen has 19 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, bro. It's terrible. And then you have second or tied for first, Tua with 19. But he's got 4 less interceptions. He's got 7 interceptions.
Got to take care of the ball. I mean, that's
funny enough. We got just sneakily tied for 3rd with Kirk Cousins is Russell Wilson. He's got 18 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So
what's his yards?
What's his yards? Let me see that real quick. Russell, where are you, Russell? Yeah, he's low. Damn, bro.
Under 2,000.
Yeah,
it's got to be under 2,000. Yeah.
1806. Yep.
Yeah. So just imagine that 1806.
Like 1,000 left.
Tua has 800 more yards.
Yeah.
Same amount of games, I believe.
Jared Goff has 2,500. But then, we had a pair of rookies leading it though. Sam Howell and CJ Stroud leading the yardage, but they're just not. They're not playing up to that pedigree. Not enough completion percentage, and obviously Sam Howell.
The QBR is probably not up there.
No, way down. Yeah. So I agree with your list, and this is I guess the top 6. The top 4 really, it's not by position either. Like I just kind of grouped it. I didn't want to put it because that's how the presidents are too. They're not in the list.
That's a good way to look at it. If we look at it totality, I would slide Lamar down. I would put Jared Goff.
Yeah,
I'll put his bust up there.
Gotta put it on there, dude. Brock Purdy is 11th in yardage. Israel. He's got 23-29, so 2,329 yards for Brock Purdy. So he's just out of the top 10. So he's gonna be 10th probably next week because Kirk Cousins is 10th right now. Like Kirk Cousins balled out so well. Still, he's on the top of all these lists after not playing for 2 weeks, dude. That's crazy.
Israel saying how many yards Purdy has between 300, right?
Yeah, 2,300. So he's 11th in yards.
He's right there.
He will be 10th next week because he's gonna pass Kirk Cousins. We'll have to do that possibly at the at the end of the season when we get the time to do that. Listen to QB's best or worst. But
Yeah,
yeah, that
y'all
was
see, we get lost in these lists, man. Like, it's so easy.
many. There's so many. We haven't even gotten to the actual power rankings yet. Let's get to Syl's bottom 5 real quick.
All right.
Let's go over the bottom 5 and the MVP candidates. Let them have it, bro. Let the Giants
All
have
right.
it.
So bottom 5, right? This is the 5 worst teams so far up at this point in this season in one of the most viable drafts. I can't wait to cover the NFL draft this offseason with Austin because that's going to be fun to see how these teams shape up. So the Giants, they're playing the worst football now. They're giving the Panthers a run, which I'm kind of surprised because at least the Panthers actually try. They're actually trying to score. The Giants just lays down now. They just, they ain't even trying. So they are cemented in the number 32, meaning they may get that quarterback of the future. You thought they already had the quarterback with Daniel Jones, but no, the Giants are going, or will they shock the world and trade that valuable number 1 pick? You can get like 10 draft picks if you get the number 1 pick this season, right?
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
I wonder. That's what my Bears did last year. We got like 6 picks for number 1. So this is very viable. But the Giants, I don't see them winning any more games, period. The Panthers, they're going to try, and they're going to keep losing every game, right? The Packers, again, they're a half a game into the 11th seed, which means they're really not close at all to the playoffs. They're down here with me with the Bears. The Packers are terrible. If y'all saw their last few games, they don't believe in their quarterback. The quarterback don't believe in himself. It's over. The Packers are done.
Didn't they win though? Oh no, they lost against the Steelers. That's right.
They lost.
Steelers.
That's what I said. 11 seed means nothing, man. I don't know why I was even on the list, but the Packers are terrible. Okay, and they likely, I could see them not moving too far, from this top 5.
Yeah.
Hey, draft the guy that you want because Jordan Love obviously isn't your guy. Same thing with your Patriots. The Patriots, I think, will still be somewhat competitive. They probably can get out of the dog, because I forgot what you called that list. To get out of the
doghouse, yeah.
The Patriots is always possible because, what if you do the whole Bailey Zappi thing and he doesn't, start the game, fake snapping and, fake spiking and stuff like that.
Oh, my God, dude. Worst play of all time. I'm glad we watched that together, too. You're like, oh,
no. What if? So I think the Patriots are going to still win a couple more games and not going to be in the running again for the top 5. I think eventually they'll make their way out. Yeah. My Bears, we got to win against the worst team in the league. So we're still in the bottom 5. And the plan is still the same, to keep this pace, get 2 of the top 3 picks, which I think, because I will say with the Packers too, I think they're going to try to grind out a couple more wins too. So I can see the shifting where Bears at 30, and then the last 2 teams will still remain the same. Those 28, 29 will kind of vacillate going forward. So this honorable mention, the Rams, right? One of my favorite teams for the first quarter of the season.
The Dams.
Stafford was hurt. They signed Carson Wentz. So, your season's over, when you sign Carson Wentz. So I could see them making a run, because if the Patriots move out, if the Packers move out, the Rams, they may be getting their quarterback of the future, because Stafford can't play forever. So they're going to draft their guy. I really believe that. So I have the doghouse teams that's, not just laying down. They're like, hey, we're going to see what we got with this team. Maybe coaches are kind of like on trial. Like, can we, am I the guy for this team? And quarterbacks, are they for the team? Interesting, the Raiders, by firing their coach, they inspired the team. Aiden O'Donnell, I think is his name. I was kind of hard on him the other day. I mean, I would give him credit. Just throw the ball to the stud, then you're good. You know what I mean? So I'll take it a little easy on them. They're going to try to win games. You got Devontae Adams, just throw it to them.
Give them some
they're going to,
bro. Jeez.
And their coach, this interim coach, Antonio Pierce, he's going to try to win. So I don't see them sliding down too far. You know what I mean? Cardinals, Kyler Murray's back. Like, I was just happy to see him out there running around and making plays. And they want to see if he still got it, man. Because if he doesn't, they was going to draft a quarterback. I think they're going to still try to win a couple more games. The last 8 weeks of the season, and then the Broncos. I mean, goodness, they
bro.
in the last couple of weeks they beat the Chiefs and the Bills. So I give Broncos credit. I give Sean Payton credit. I was testing his gangster this season. He really got this team. He unloaded, some trash on defense.
Yep.
Kept his offensive weapons though, and Russell Wilson's playing, game manager football. That's what you want Russell Wilson to do.
He's up there, man. I'm looking at the list. I see him at the top of all the stat lines. I'm like, dang.
So the Broncos, they're not like a team where they're like, oh, okay, we got the Broncos. We're going to just walk in there and beat them. It's like, no, the rest of this year, they're not going to make the playoffs, but they're not trying to lose, which I was really surprised. I thought they would be one of the first teams to be like, okay, sell, and let's get a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
So I said, we'll see how that kind of fluctuates as far as that bottom 5. I think the Rams will try to take someone's spot. MVP candidates. So I was really hard on Lamar Jackson and all quarterbacks.
Had to be.
But I want to make it clear though with MVP. I know we had the top, the Mount Rushmore quarterbacks. I think that's a different thing than MVP.
Yeah.
Because it's still, the impact of the team, the circumstances. Because I think Tua will probably get MVP votes, but Tyreek Hill is going to split some of those votes. So that's why I think there's no way Tua could win it.
That's
right. But though Tua, I think, is having the best quarterback season. So just an example. So impact on the team. We'll start at number 3. Lamar Jackson, he's slipping and sliding because if his QBR keeps sliding, he's going to slide off this list, especially fourth quarter. MVP, it's about the story. It's about the moments, not just raw numbers. So Lamar had it, and his loss really hurt him. I don't know if he can recover from that as far as MVP talk. CJ Stroud, the rookie. How's a rookie on this list? It's about the story. The Houston Texans were terrible for years, and all they did was draft this quarterback. Now Nico Collins, Tank Dell. I still really don't know these guys, but he's throwing them the ball.
Now we've heard of them.
They have the chance to win the division, so he's got to get at least MVP consideration. But I think overall, I'm telling you right now, MVP is going to really be probably drastically different every week because I think this is one of the most wide open races in years because Patrick Mahomes is not going to win it this year. He's not going to win it, so they can't just give it to him. Joe Burrow's been hurt, right? We talk about Lamar. Josh Allen's not going to get it. You see what I'm saying? So it's like it could be a receiver or it could be a defensive player. Myles Garrett, he had the biggest win this week. And that's what it's really as far as MVP is all about. People say it's a quarterback award because they're very important. That's true. But also I think what's as important is the people that go against the quarterback. That's Myles Garrett, and he's a closer. He's up there with sacks. I did think of TJ Watt because he just broke he passed his own brother, JJ Watt, and was it more tackles, more sacks in 100 games or something like that.
Yeah.
He just beat his brother's all-time record. So TJ Watt is up there. Right now, Myles Garrett is the best defensive player, I think, in the league.
Yeah.
And I am expecting next week because I think Stroud or Lamar will fall out, and I may have a receiver on this list next week.
And then maybe it's a good segue for Carlos's question. He says, "Can Hill get it?" And maybe that's the receiver that might come up with it.
We'll see because we can't sleep on AJ Brown either. AJ Brown's having almost just as good of a season as Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill he has to break a record or something. He has to. It's got to be a crazy story. But I think he's going to mess around and kind of prevent Tua from getting it because they're going to split votes.
They're going to mess him up, and that's what kind of happens. Like a Heisman votes too. If you have a quarterback and a running back on the same team, they might split votes. I think that happened to Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush, and that's kind of like why Reggie Bush ended up getting it the one year. But let's get into the actual whole reason why we got this show, man. Let's get into the actual power rankings. Sure to make somebody mad. I'm sure we're gonna make somebody mad. Bro, let's just say it. Eagles, we don't have to talk about it much. They still got the best record, bro. We can't not have them at 1. And I'll let you take it from there, homeboy.
All right. Well, your list is very controversial.
Yes.
So we have the Eagles number 1 because hey, they have the best record. You gotta respect that. They beat up teams when they need to. Only one loss. Now, next week it's going to be very interesting. I'm going to start trying to have in mind the next game because the Eagles play the Chiefs next Monday night. It's going to be a shakeup on this power rankings potentially next week. But right now, Eagles are number 1. Number 2, the Lions, the most complete team still. And when I mean most complete, I'm saying very solid defense, great offensive weapons, skill positions. They probably have the best running back core like in the league right now. And hey, you know, their quarterback doesn't make mistakes. So I mean, you got that grown up at Jared Goff. You got a complete team, man. I mean, it just quarterback play is a big thing, and they got everything. So props to the Lions, the future number 1 seed in NFC. We got the Chiefs. I only got the Chiefs at 3. Not banging on Patrick Mahomes too much, but just that, hey, the Lions beat them. So I don't see them getting past the Lions all year on my power ranking. If y'all saw like a trend, I can't put the Chiefs over the Lions because
they got
the Lions beat them. Yeah, they win in their crib and they beat them. So it's just until something changes drastically.
Jared Head. It's Jared Head now.
Speaking of drastic changes, the Ravens, I was really going to plummet them more than I did. But I have to remember they lost to another top 10 team on my list, the Browns. So I can't, slide them down too far. I would have put the Browns over them in that same division, but they split each other. They split wins. So the Ravens are still number 1 in their division, AFC North. So the Browns right behind them. But it's literally whoever slips first may slide and keep sliding down. And as I mentioned with the Browns, let's stop the Deshaun Watson slander. Deshaun Watson is okay. On the field, he's okay. You know what I mean? That's all we're talking about.
On the field.
And that defense, man, lights out defense. You got people doing pick sixes and all kinds of stuff, sacks. That running game, Ford as a running back. We think Kareem Hunt. They got Jerome Ford, who barreled you saw him push the pile like 20 yards, like at the end of the game, like it was crazy. Like they could play any style and. Y'all gonna let Watson get healthy? The Browns gonna be a problem for a lot of teams. Me and Austin wasn't just shouting him out for no reason. Like a month ago, like Myles Garrett was wrecking shop until Deshaun Watson got healthy. So the Browns in the top 5 right there, right? The Cowboys, the Cowboys keep winning, so I'm gonna keep them in the top 10. And they haven't had any bad losses since the Cardinals. Anytime they lost, it was to a really good team. So you can't knock the Cowboys too much. That's just what they are. They will play just good enough to lose in the playoffs, right? We got the Dolphins. They took their beat. They beat down some good teams all year, but they're still hovering. They're still hovering right there. I got to give the Dolphins credit. They put up a fight against the Chiefs over there in Germany. They actually showed me something. In that second half. Okay. They can't get behind like that though. So it's like they really, to stay within striking distance of top 5. They got to beat the next good team on their schedule. They can't just keep beating up these fluffy teams like the Cowboys do. So that's why they're next to each other. Seahawks, very sneaky right there. Seahawks, very sneaky. Now I get they're actually percentage points. They're behind the 49ers in the NFC West, but the Niners just came off a 3-game losing streak. So I can't just jump y'all up there. You need to calm down. I got to see more. Still got to see more, but the Seahawks, they've been more consistent for this season until they meet. I think the 49ers will vanquish them eventually. So the 49ers, I mean, goodness, you saw what they did to the Jaguars. That's why the Jaguars are under them. They'll forever be under the 49ers because that was ugly, bro. That was ugly. The Jaguars almost fell off the list because of how bad they lost that game. I really probably should have, but it go to my Sparta kick. The Bengals, they lost only because the Bengals, at least the Jaguars lost to a top 10 team. The Bengals, I can't say the Texans are top 10 yet. So that was a really bad loss for the Bengals. That's why they're my Sparta kick. But I don't want to get ahead of you. But that's my top 10 right there.
Yeah, we got a Sparta kick coming for the Bengals. Yeah, man, they had to. Just because of how they lost, and they shouldn't have lost that game if you're watching it like that. But shout out to the Texans. Got to give the Texans credit. And we started off with the Eagles. I want to kick them down just as much as anybody else does, but they keep winning. Lions keep winning. They jumped up 4 spots for me because, as you said, with who they faced off against, and who they've beaten, they took that really bad loss in the Ravens, but they won. So they go up on the list, and they're playing better. They're a more complete team to me than the Browns. So that's why I got the Browns at 2. You're like, where's the Chiefs, Austin? They didn't play this week. I can actually do that again. There's not that many. There's not that many teams. The one week I couldn't do it. Every team who had a bye was on my top 10, so I couldn't move them. But this week, man, it's different. Chiefs didn't play, bro. They got no power on my power rankings, bro. Neither did the Dolphins. The Dolphins didn't play either, bro.
So the Dolphins, let's see. So the Dolphins off too. So this is just disrespectful, man. This is just
they didn't play, man. How could it be in the rankings if they didn't play, bro? I don't know what you're talking about.
This is rough, man. This is rough.
Necron will like the fact that the Chiefs and the Dolphins are off. So because of that, I got the Cowboys up there at number 4. As you said, they're playing against some fluffy teams. But I said before Sunday, on Sunday, if the Cowboys don't win this game like they should by like 17 points as the spread has, then I'll be concerned. But they went out and they played hard against the Eagles. So it's not like the losses this season haven't been terrible, except that one time against the 49ers. But they've still been playing well enough. And until they lose, until I see Dak like drop down, I got to give him credit, man. As much as I'm a Cowboys hater, right now I'm hating the Eagles and the Chiefs a little bit more. So Cowboys get a little bit of love, and they jump up 5 spots on the list. The Seahawks, we kicked them off the list, bro, last week. We kicked them right off the list, but they're back on with a nice win, a surprising game that happened in Seattle, but they had a nice win. Geno's playing consistent. As long as he doesn't lose the game for you, I feel like he's going to play good enough to win you the game. They got so many weapons there. We forget about Kenneth Walker III. We forget about DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Like, they got weapons there. It's just all about, like, where is their defense going to be? Is their defense going to come up to play? Because if not, then you're not going to be able to last long in the playoffs. And Real Talk's finally realizing, bro, they're not getting hate. They didn't play.
Yeah, that's
man. They didn't play, bro.
They
didn't play. They didn't play. You got no power, bro, if you didn't play. The 49ers came to play, though, bro. They came to play. I wanted to burst them in my top 5, but as you said, they came off a 3-game losing streak, came off a bye, and they came back with a vengeance on a Jaguars team who me and you want to kick off this list so bad.
Oh, yeah.
But we just they're leading their division, so we kind of like can't right now. And they're on the bubble. I put them down there in 10. They're on the bubble. But the 49ers, the way they won, that's why I had to put them where they're at. Just because they won so effectively, so dominantly. And the Ravens, I had them drop 5 because on my side of things, if you lose, I can't put you above the other teams that won unless you have a substantially better record. And if you're looking at the Ravens and the Vikings, obviously I can't put the Vikings above the Ravens, but the Vikings are on my list because they keep winning, dude. They keep winning. Joshua Dobbs showed that he can obviously, with just a week of preparation, come in, sling the ball over the yard, make some questionable throws at times, but he got the ball into where it needed to be. The pass or not, I mean, he's going to be here until he fails, right? I got love for the Vikings. I got love for a team that can hobcob together Joshua Dobbs, and you put him in there, and he's getting wins for you. And the way that they're winning, too, I mean, like I said, TJ Hawkinson, he was a beast. He was getting a hit all over the town and just getting right back up and going into play. They got dogs. JJ's coming back next week. Watch out for the Vikings, man. They're on your bubble squad for that very reason. But I had to put them in because the Chiefs and the Dolphins didn't play, bro. And then I got the Steelers there at number 10 because they keep winning. Mike Tomlin is just like life and evolution. It always finds a way. Shout out to Jurassic Park. We gotta get. I gotta put together a Mike Tomlin Jurassic Park music mashup for a meme because man, he finds a way. And as long as Kenny Pickett isn't throwing Kenny pick sixes, they have the defense that can win them the games. You just got to score more than the other teams. And you said it on our yesterday's show on the mini Monday recap that the defense might even score you some points. So the Steelers, man, I got to put them on there. I got to give love. I got to give respect. And it's very funny for me to see everybody on here from the AFC North but the Bengals. And that leads me to the Jaguars, who are on the verge of getting Sparta kicked off. Man, the way that they lost, you can't 3 points at home, dude. Come on, bro. And usually the teams coming from the West Coast to the East Coast have a disadvantage, being the 49ers playing in Jacksonville last weekend, but they just dog walked the Jacksonville Jaguars all over the field, man. They're so close to getting Sparta kicks from me.
Man, close, man. Like, I mean, if the Bengals wouldn't have lost, like, the Jags would have easily been off my list. But I'm just not ready to put those other teams over them.
Nah, we can't. And I didn't get the actual clip, but I got the video for it, dude. Bengals.
This is Sparta!
That's the Bengals.
Peace.
That's the Bengals right there.
Peace out, Bengals.
And I'm saying with these Sparta kicks, it takes a lot to get back on this list. So the 49ers know y'all had to sit out a couple weeks, had a bye week, and now you're finally back because you beat a top 10 team. Bengals, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, man. Maybe hard to get back on there.
We'll see, man. The reason why it's so hard for them and the way we say it like that is because we have such high expectations of this team. Like, they're not too far removed from being in a Super Bowl. I mean, like, come on. So Joe Burrow, are you Joe Cool, or are you the guy who's going to throw an interception late in the fourth quarter when your team definitely doesn't need an interception? So yeah, this is Sparta, and I'm not going to give the clip for the Chiefs and the Dolphins. You know, they got the Sparta kick because they didn't play this week. I'm sure they'll be back next week. Everybody take a deep breath. Everybody, this is a weekly top 10, real talk. That's why they're not in it this week for me. Still does it overall. I do it week by week.
Yeah, I go up to this point for the season.
Yes.
And, Austin does apparently something different.
Week by week, bro. But that's the fun part of these rankings. That's when we both do it, man, because we both have different opinions. We both have different ways of going about it, but we both can enjoy each other's lists and respect it. It's funny to see if you look at number 1, 2, and 10, we both have the same teams in the same spot. So, we're together a third of the way all the time. So that's all that matters. We'll get there together. The bubble squad, let's talk about real quick. You got 2 teams that are on my top 10 in the bubble.
Yeah, interesting. The Steelers, I'm just gun shy because of Kenny pick 6. Like, I want to put the Steelers on there, and then, we throw pick 6s. It's like, okay, I don't know if I could trust you at top 10. So that's just where I'm at. They may stay at the bubble for a while until like another team falls off. Or if the Vikings keep winning, the Vikings are going to probably leap up there. I'm just holding them at arm's length right now. The Vikings, again, the Seahawks may slip up. One of these teams may slip, and the Vikings just jump right up there. So that's going to be interesting. And man, the Texans, man, I mean, they still need to do another quality win, but they're in contention for their division, man. They probably got to be top 10 eventually, too.
Yeah, they're on the bubble. That's why I didn't put either of our names next to that, because they're on my bubble as well. They're keeping in there. I mean, if we're gonna have CJ Stroud in the MVP conversation and not have the Texans, in the top 10, it's kind of on a disservice to us. But Jaguars lose again, Texans win again. I'm sure our top 10, our 10 is gonna be changed a little bit there. But yeah, man, what a list! What a extravaganza of lists. People asking for more lists. I mean, it's always a thing. You said before we started that, lists always get people up in an uproar, and I know I was going to do it. I told you before we started, I know I was going to do it, bro. No disrespect to the Dolphins or the Chiefs. Well, maybe a little disrespect to the Chiefs, but no disrespect to the Dolphins. It's just y'all didn't play, man. Y'all didn't play. And it happened on a bye week where, like, the other time we had a bye week, there was like 5 teams that had a bye that were all in my top 10. I'm like, I'm not doing this, man. But it made sense for me this week. And how'd you feel about the Mount Passmore rankings today?
Good idea.
Agree with that?
Yeah, good idea. That'll be a cool list you're gonna bring every week, and I'll just throw my critiques here and there with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll keep an eye on the bottom 5 of the reason why we have this, if that no one knows, if you're new here, Syl is a massive Bears fan, and the Panthers have the Bears number 1 pick. Well, I should say the Bears had the Panthers #1 pick. So the Bears get to double up somehow if they get the top 5, picks right here, which we talk about the quarterback rich draft coming up. If you get a quarterback, you can get a top, wide receiver. You get anybody. You double up with top, #1 picks and top 5. That's a huge draft. So yeah, we're going to be going over the draft this year for sure, and that's why we're going to keep an update on this bottom 5. I say the bottom top 5. No, it's the bottom. You secured yourself there, and I gotta say this too. It sucks to see the Patriots there, man, but they deserve it. They absolutely deserve it. They absolutely deserve it.
You earned your way on this list. This isn't like Austin be taking people off one week. No, you earned this bottom 5.
Yeah. You don't get there by mistake. I don't do anything by my own. You should just see the list that Sil sends me, and I just put it in the graphic. That's all I do, man. I'm just a producer. But before we go, did you want to promo anything? We got Thursday countdown coming up. Let me check what that game is real quick.
Should be Ravens and
Bengals.
Bengals. And see, this is
Ravens. That's a good game.
Can the Bengals get in the top 10 or a game like this? If you beat a top 5 team, Bengals, you can have a chance to get back in the top 10. So looking forward to that the Thursday countdown.
Yes, sir.
Definitely working on still getting more clips on the Still Nation Sports Network YouTube channel and on the Twitter as well. As far as my geek stuff, we're at full production across the board with the geek stuff. So check that out, the YouTube channel, sylabdulgeek Network, and follow that on Twitter as well, sylabdul. But yeah, it's about the sports, man. And like I said, eventually I'm going to roll out some basketball stuff. But right now, we're putting a lot of energy in football. So just catch us again Thursday.
Yes, it's football season. It's not here as long as the NBA season is. And after football season, we'll be able to talk more about the NBA. But man, we were really lacking this past off season. So I'm glad that we're really diving deep into football during the season because I need it, man. I love football and I love doing these shows. And I love everyone in the chat showing up. So thank you everyone for being here in the chat. If you're on the replay crew, make sure you're hitting like. If you're here now and you didn't hit the like, what are you doing? Make sure you're subscribed to Still Nation Sports Network, to my channel, and make sure you follow down below my Twitter, Sil's Twitter, and the Still Nation Sports Network Twitter. If you want more basketball coverage, and that's where you'll find more of that on the Twitter. We see more comments on the Twitter for right now, but that's going to be coming on YouTube. And I know Skiiwalker wants to talk a little bit. Necron wants to talk a little bit of his talk. So we'll have more shows. And yeah, take a day off. Get Wednesday as work day. So put your work in. And we'll see y'all Thursday for Ravens and Bengals. Actually, Bengals versus Ravens. They're playing in Baltimore. On a short week, can the Bengals bounce back, man? We're going to talk about it Thursday night. So everybody come back Thursday. We'll see y'all then. And thank you for being here now. Till next time, everybody. Peace.